How you guys doing, Chinamaja family? This is another exciting episode. Super excited to bring you another episode with a ecosystem friend and actor who I have known for some time, and he's doing something very important for our market right now. And his name is Jason Musyoka, who is the angel investment manager at ViKtoria Ventures, right?
Yes.
Did I get that right?
Yes, you got it right.
And Jason, you and Viktoria are doing something, are pioneering a move in our market.
I wouldn't call it pioneering.
Pretty much, I think you guys are the pioneers.
Re-engineering, probably.
Re-engineering.
Not pioneering, because
You're trying to solve a problem that is quite critical for the development of early stage startups and just the growth of the ecosystem. Local capital, right?
Local capital.
That's what you guys are trying to do. So I'm sure it's quite challenging. You have probably some very, very interesting insights and experiences to share with our audience, because a lot of people who listen to our podcast are interested in that very question in terms of capital, and more importantly, local capital. Where is it? Why isn't it in play? And so on and so forth. So super excited to have you on the podcast.
Asante sana. Thank you for inviting me.
We just start by telling us a little bit about your background, your education background and your career and how you ended up to where you are today.
Yeah. Let me start with high school, because I think that's the most pivotal stage of a young man's developmental processes. So high school, I went to Lenana School.
Okay, that's
Chinjerian, yes, I'm a Chinjerian
okay.
or Libon. It depends on which year you finish Lenana.
Okay.
So yes,
you guys name the years specific or how?
No. There is Yorkist, which happened before pre-independence. Then there's Libon that happened post-independence up to, I think that the time the school was called changes, it was after the change of principles from either the white principles to the black principles, but it started around the 80s.
Interesting.
When Maneno came in here.
Right.
Libons can correct me on that, but changes came. So the latest name we have is changes.
Okay.
And the acronym stands for very interesting. If I describe the acronym, it will be quite impressive actually.
Okay, we're not going to into that because we'll be indulging you too much.
That is true. But my high school's phase of life was very interesting, and I think that besides the rugby, which
you played rugby?
I played rugby.
Okay, you got the shoulders.
Thank you. Thank you.
What position?
I played several positions actually.
Utility man.
Utility one. So I've tried scrum half.
You tried scrum half? Jesus Christ! You have to bend too far to pick.
That is a thing. I was trying to see where I can fit in, because there was a lot of rotation in the team. So what happened is that we were rotating a lot on the team, and then also the fact that I didn't have a steady position. So I was trying to see where I can fit in. So I've tried to play flank. I've tried to play second row.
Don't hit the table because it's boring.
I've played second row. I've played scrum half that I described. But my favorite position was fly half. I didn't manage to play it for a very long time because maybe I couldn't. For one thing or another, I ended up not playing for the team. So that was my high school. And then obviously university. I was doing Bachelor of Arts.
Which university? Nairobi?
Nairobi University.
Okay.
It's the only V.
It's only the university.
It's only V University.
Yeah.
So I did economics and sociology, and I also did a bit of SCCA in Strathmore University.
Okay.
So that is my academic background.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so after that, what was your career path, or what did you want to do when you grew up?
I've always wanted to be an accountant. My mom is an accountant.
Okay.
So I've always wanted to do what she does because it seemed to be paying for the bills.
You're optimizing for bill payments.
For bill payments. So I said, if I'm going to do anything, I'm going to do what she's doing. So because of that, I chose a finance track. And then I ended up doing economics. I didn't want just to do finance for the sake of finance. I wanted to do something that has a macro perspective.
Okay.
So that is why I ended up doing economics.
Okay. Is that what you were called to do at university, or how did you finesse that? Because it was BCom.
Yes.
And then.
No, I was called to do that. Yeah.
Okay.
So I said, okay, fine. What a coincidence.
Okay.
It's exactly something that I wanted to do. So I did economics and I did sociology. because I wanted to do philosophy, but then I realized I was in Strathmore. I was taking a bit of philosophical classes, so I said, let me not do philosophy. Let me not repeat the whole process here. And the fact that the Strathmore philosophy classes were more detailed, I said, let me stick to those ones. So I ended up doing sociology as well, and the CCA. So I chose that specifically.
What is the CCA?
It's an Association of Chartered Certified Accountants.
Okay.
It's offered by Oxford Brooks, some
Okay.
institution in the UK.
Okay.
So I did that. It was interesting. I met a couple of interesting friends there. But and then I said, let me see where this takes me. After that, I didn't become an accountant immediately. I became a fundraiser.
This is interesting. You started econ, some philosophy, and then you're going to become an accountant. That admixture is so like...
It's,
those are two different ways of thinking completely.
It is. Because philosophy, I think it's important because you need to... The aspect of...
Have you met any philosophy accountants? No, I'm just...
No.
Think about that, right?
Yeah, actually I have. It's not there are very many.
He's looking at the spreadsheet and figuring out how the world works through...
That's not the correlation. Philosophy helps a lot when it comes to trying to do a lot of critical thinking, especially the logic part of it, and then understanding how to just balance reality.
But accountants live in a very structured, defined world. It's on or off, it's balances or doesn't. So there's no like need to be philosophical about that. I'm just saying it's very different, right? Over here you have this kind of like unstructured kind of like any argument can be brought onto the table and so on and so forth. But in accounting, it's very like, these are the numbers and that's it. So when I think about an accountant, they don't have room for your opinion or your perspective or any other kind of like, so that's what I'm just saying. You're probably a very you have both sides of your brain, and I know they don't use that framework anymore, but you have the right and left side kind of working fully optimized. That's unusual.
Well, I hope so.
We'll find out as we proceed.
I hope they're fully optimized. But I just took a liking to philosophy. The whole idea of you can interrogate different theories, and more importantly, can you come up with a theory that is working for you? Because besides just interacting with numbers, also you interact with reality. With reality,
or at least you try and interact with it in a way that makes sense.
Even though you're interacting with reality, how do you? Because everyone has an opinion, so how do you learn to measure a person's opinion vis-a-vis a theory that you have?
So what are some of the theories that you developed or you currently hold?
I didn't develop my own theory.
Or at least you adopt, right?
But I adopted some theories which I think are very important, at least as far as personal development is concerned. And those are the theories that I try to, as much as possible,
describe one or two. At least one.
Don't treat people. It's a common theory. They're not really out of this world kind of theories or theories that you've not really heard about.
If they were, that would be weird.
That would be. I'd love to write a book about it, but since they are very common theories, it's just theories that you've heard. But it's how you refine them to yourself is what is more important.
How you apply them in your life?
Yeah, how you plug them into your life is very important, and I think that is where philosophy comes in, and then it gives you a set of theories, but then how do you now contextualize them to your own space as you interact with people, the type of people that you interact with. And one that I think has been very important for me is just trying to see how not to... You don't know what is... The stories behind people, motives and what it is that they're doing are very specific to them, so you can't really try to pretend that you understand the person fully based on a few interactions or a few meeting or something like that. So you have to see people. You don't understand people in totality until you've interacted with them for a very long period. But also more importantly is that you can't pretend to understand someone and just to assume that you can somehow define them. That has helped me a lot, especially in terms of interacting with people, trying to see how I can see their points of view and things like that.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. So how did you end up at ViKtoria Ventures?
Well, that's the interesting part, because I immediately after campus I went to fundraising. I worked for Strathmore University in the fundraising department. They had a campaign, a capital campaign. So they were trying to see how they
fundraising for
the
as
building.
an investment.
It was a project for fundraising. So they were trying to come up with a Strathmore Business School building, the
Okay.
student center building, and a management science building.
Okay.
So you're fundraising for that process,
Okay.
which I ended up interacting with very interesting people, and also finding out about more of what do you call it, the fundraising process. How do you interact with corporates? How do you interact with philanthropists? How do you interact with individuals who want to leave a name for themselves and things like that? Legacy, endowment fund, things like that.
Right.
So that was a very interesting stage for me, and I had a very good boss who let us try things out.
Nice.
So it was quite interesting to work with him.
Interesting, because we at Impact Africa Network this whole year has just been about that specific thing, fundraising, and we have learned a lot. We have built a very strong fundraising infrastructure. I didn't know that you had actually done that. Otherwise, I would have tapped you earlier.
No.
But I think we probably have a future together, which we can take offline. But anyway, so you went through this process. Were you guys raising philanthropic funding, or was it grant, or was it investment? What kind of fundraising?
It was a mix of everything. We tried to rope in corporates.
Okay.
And more importantly, because there's the corporate culture of trying to support educational institution was not, I don't think it's that mature. So we're trying to see how do we tap in, because of the fact that Strathmore Business School, the target students are executives and people in the corporate space.
People are going in that direction.
Yeah, they're going in that direction. So it's
a talent pipeline for them.
It's a talent pipeline for them. So why don't you also, as corporates, why don't you support the
infrastructure,
development of this of the business school? So that's why we're going with that kind of campaign project. So that's why we wanted to rope in corporates into the fundraising process, so that we can see how we can tap into that and just try to see if we can interest them in this kind of activity.
How did that play out?
It played out well. We got a couple of funding. If you go to the business school right now, there are a couple of rooms that are named after corporates in Kenya.
Okay, like which ones, for example?
There's a UAP building. There's a Trans-Century
UAP?
UAP room.
UAP.
UAP room.
That's an insurance company?
Yeah, UAP.
Okay.
Mutual. It's now UAP or Mutual.
Okay.
But they sponsored a bit some rooms in Strathmore Business School. There was
Trans-Century. Okay.
That supported. It was what the Trans-Century lecture. I think it's a hall.
Okay.
I'm not sure what it is.
Who else?
There was that. And then Chase Bank.
Okay.
SBM now. I don't know if they've renamed it, but it's Chase Bank gave a bit of money. It's SBM now.
Interesting, we're talking to the same crowd right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Let me know where I can help, because I've spoken to them before.
Definitely. We'll definitely be talking up on the podcast.
I mean, we took a lot of meetings, and before these three converted, it was after a very lengthy conversation.
Right.
How do you plug them in? Do you plug them in from the marketing side? Do you plug them in from the CSR side?
Wow.
So you have to...
Sounds so familiar.
So that is quite interesting. But at the very least, you get to interact with the corporate side of things and see how people look at things. Yeah. It's just not about giving free money, but what is the value add to them.
Yeah, totally.
So you get to see a lot of that thinking as well.
That's awesome. So this was right after campus. Now you are thrown into the deep end.
This was right after campus. I was thrown into the deep end. So I did that for 3 years.
Awesome. So you built a good network of contacts, I would imagine?
I did, but it didn't pay off immediately. That's the problem. I was not too aggressive in activating that side of network of things, because after that I went immediately into the corporate side, and the kind of company I worked for, it's quite interesting because it was in the PR and communication space.
Wow. So
but I was in the finance.
You're in the finance
department.
Okay. All right.
Trying to understand how the processes work, so that at least you can do proper cash management.
Okay.
And then so that
big firm, small firm. What was
it? It's a small firm, but it was doing something quite impressive.
Okay.
Yeah. So and then after that, in between that, some friends of mine with an IT background started doing a bit of projects here, projects there, and then as you interacting with people started knew they need a platform maybe to run their cash management. And then someone who has an IT background, so they can plug into that. They can come up with a system which can help them do this. So we got together, a couple of friends of mine, so we started doing a bit of projects on the side. And then I went fully into it when I realized that some clients are dropping out because there's no follow through. So if you're either in it or you're not in it. So because of that lack of traction between clients and lack of consistent interface between clients and ourselves and the project team, then I realized that we were missing out on a lot of projects. So I decided to, my boss and I decided that it was good for me just to go and pursue this full time. So that's what I want to do. I want to pursue it full time. And then
so you are basically building. It was basically custom technology.
Custom
products.
Yeah, it's custom products.
Right.
So you could later use an open source platform and then build onto it.
Okay.
Or you can just develop something from scratch depending on the client need.
Okay.
So we did that for a while. It did have significant traction because also alignment between partners is very important. So for me, this was going to be my full time, but also for them, they had careers. So they someone wanted to study, do a master's in IT, and that meant that they have to leave the country. So that is a gap that has been left there. And then others had
very fragile situation.
And then one of them had a family, so they needed consistent income. So they had to look for a job to support that side of things. So
that is just so.
So there's alignment issues.
Yeah, that is so. This is the story of our ecosystem. We have a lot of talent, but really no opportunity. Opportunity means there's space to pursue something and build into it. Because people have short-term needs, and we are being pulled in this direction and that direction. Like you said, your friend had to go abroad for education, right? Or the other person had family, so they had to actually. And that right there, people underestimate how dampening that is to potential to build companies and businesses.
It is.
The whole process, as you know, right? You're an investor, so I'm not going to tell you, but it always just, it is the African story. It is the Nairobi story. A lot of talent, not no opportunity to match the talent. Anyway, continue.
Yes, and it's funny you say that because recently I was having a conversation with someone else also in the ecosystem, and they were telling me that capital in this space does not understand the nuances of local entrepreneurs. This guy, he comes as a package. There's his family, there's the short-term needs, the other obligations you don't know where they're coming from, that they have to be sustained. So trying to understand the local entrepreneur from an investor's perspective is very important, so that at least you can know and understand the kind of how they react to things and why they're doing some things that ordinarily a well-set enterprise will not be doing.
Give me an example of what you mean by that, because it's important to kind of do.
So for instance, you find an entrepreneur who's pushing 2 or 3 different business lines. So what are we funding? Are we funding all 3 business lines, or are we funding one business line? But this guy, he has cash flow needs.
Right.
And whatever opportunity comes his way, he's not going to shut his eye on it because he's focusing on one thing. It is good to focus on something true. I admit that, but also sometimes you find yourself in a situation whereby conditions and circumstances force you to take opportunities that you wouldn't take for you to support something else. So that kind of nuance of African entrepreneurs is what you find interesting. And I think it has, over time you have seen it, whereby people have 2 or 3 biasharas they're trying to do. And then because side hustle 1, side hustle 2. But the reason for that, there's a reason for that.
Survival has to happen.
Survival. So there's a reason for that. And I think private capital should also be cognizant of that. I'm trying to see.
So when you say cognizant, what do you want them to do?
So for instance, if an entrepreneur tells you have multiple business lines, but if you just want to fund one business line, how do we understand that you're still not going to stop focusing on other business lines?
We need to understand. Okay, let me ask you a question. Do you think it is possible to execute with that type of scenario, like what it takes to build something? I mean, that's a general question, and then there's specific to a situation, right? Yes. But in general, what's your take on that?
My take.
Would you put money into that situation? If somebody's not willing to.
As Jason, not as Victoria.
As Jason. Obviously, hopefully Jason and Victoria are synonymous.
They are synonymous. Yes, I would. I will take a chance on them. Because especially if the different business lines have potential for growth on their own, I will take a chance on the holding company and try to see what kind of values can I drive in the different business lines, and leverage on my network and also on the angel network to see how we can drive value in those business lines.
Oof, okay, I have a completely different view on that. When it comes to innovation, innovation is about two things, in my perspective, my view. It's about execution, focused execution, and insights. The insights you develop and all the other capabilities that you develop because remember how you had to come into that company full time because you're losing out on opportunity?
Yes.
Right? Because it's not a product you can go and give somebody and they pay, right?
Mm-hmm.
You gotta go take the specs, the needs of the customer, define them and then translate them. Okay. So there's a heavy investment in just intellectual time, horsepower, like thinking about what is the problem, what is the solution, marrying those up, and then go to market and so on and so forth. So so when we're talking about technology, if we're talking about other things, that anything probably, that's not the conversation, right?
Yeah.
My view is
you have to focus.
My view is focus in innovation is the whole story. And that is why we don't have, in my view, we haven't been able, local founders have struggled to compete or even to lift off, to take off, right? Only a couple, 3 or 4, and if you look at their story, it was a focus story. I remember speaking with Ken of Cellulant one time, and he's completely bullish on focus. He's like, dude, if you have 2 or 3 side hustles, I ain't talking to you. That's not the way to go. He is hardcore about that, right? Even and I was like, man, you gotta come with some kid gloves. He was like, nah. So anyway, but back to your narrative. What were we talking about now?
We were talking about
how did we end up here?
Will I invest in a company that has multiple products?
And I think we're talking about how capital has to be cognizant about the needs of the mindset.
The mindset of the local context. Yeah. It is true. I also am a firm believer in focusing, but at the same time, like I said, I'm cognizant of the fact that local entrepreneurs just don't have one thing that they do.
And that's true. And so I think maybe where we can agree is don't dismiss them offhand.
Don't dismiss them offhand. See
how can we work towards a situation where the focus is part of the plan potential.
If they have a strength in one line of business, they can focus on that, and then they can bring skill sets to try to see how they can drive these other things. I think so.
Okay. Yeah. And it's situational. Cool. So you had a situation with some friends trying to build a software consulting business.
Yeah.
And then it didn't work out because people had
misaligned interests.
The needs that the African people struggle with, like education, family.
True.
And then what happened?
Then after that, a friend of mine wanted to see if they can drive value in the agribusiness space. So what they're trying to do is that they wanted to see how they can support smallholding farmers to scale up their businesses. How do you commercialize smallholder farmers? So they had a very interesting idea, which I thought, okay, fine, if it works, it will work. So let's try to do it. So we went into that. Okay. So that one I went into it full force. We tried to see how we iterated over time. So that lasted for 4 years. And then for one reason or another, it didn't work out.
Anything specific that you can point to, lack of funding, lack of alignment?
No, actually, it's not really lack of funding. And it comes back to what you said. You have to be. What I say, the 2 things that led to it. First of all, we didn't have experience in the space. Okay. We didn't have experience into it. So we're trying to see what we had experience with, what we knew. I had a finance background. He's a banker, or he's a digital marketer. So he has experience in marketing. He doesn't have experience in agribusiness. So since you're trying to innovate in the agribusiness space, how do you do that in a way that leverages on your experience and also on your background to drive efficiencies and also try to see how you can build a business into it? But we didn't have experience in agribusiness. I didn't know how to do French beans. He doesn't know how to do French beans.
But the whole thing about it is, in my view, you could develop that over 4 years.
You can develop that over 4 years, but I imagine you have to have a bit of learning into it. You have to go to school to learn about it.
I don't think you have to do so. So here's how I think about this.
Yeah.
And here's how people actually build into, like, One Acre Fund, for example. The guy who started One Acre Fund, which I'm not a big fan of that brand, but he wasn't a farmer, right? He came to a problem, and that's just as an example. The other people like Paris Bosire, what was that thing called? Paris Bosire, she's the founder of basically I forgot what her startup is, but in any case, she went to Nairobi University, computer science. She came from a family where they had that farming in their background, but she wasn't a farmer per se. I guess my point is, the way I think about this whole innovation thing is you have to become a student of the reality of that business. And I don't think that's too difficult to do. I mean, you have to immerse yourself into the situation and just dig in and just be just immerse yourself, right? And really go deep and go to understand the conditions that your ecosystem or your customer or whatever it is you're trying to solve for is experiencing. Go into their perspective and see the world from their perspective. Not very difficult to do. I think a lot of people completely discount the importance of deep market research, meaning go in it and actually learn it and understand it. And a lot of people just kind of, they and again, I think this is, in my view, this is also an issue of lack of the opportunity of time, because that requires time.
It does.
Right?
It does.
And you're like, look, I need to kind of make money quickly. So everybody's trying to kind of figure out the making money part, which could be you're completely looking at the wrong indicators. You don't understand the business you're in because you don't come from that background.
Yes.
So there's a big gap between you and the reality. And because people in our market have to quickly make money, they'll never dive into the real deal. And that, again, is part of the problem. Right?
But I'll tell you one thing. This is how I look at it. Because I think if I'm an accountant trying to learn agribusiness, I'll not be as technically efficient as someone who went to study it or at least at the very least, if you're talking about primary production, I mean, for me to understand how French beans are grown and all the way to the value chain up to export market, it will take someone who has done it before.
Of course, but how long would it take you to actually know that? Let's say you're an accountant. Let's say, how long would it take you to actually understand what you just described?
Now I think I have a good understanding of it, but not in depth.
Say any market, any new market you go into. How long would it take you to understand at a high level what is involved and what the unit economics might be and what the friction areas might be, just to understand the value chain, to understand all the inputs and outputs and how that flows. I mean, how long would it take you, right?
There's this 10,000 hour rule.
You're not trying to be an artist. You're trying to be an entrepreneur.
It is true, but also, I mean, you can't innovate in something that you really don't understand.
That's what I'm saying. So you need to understand it. My point is, between where you are now and understanding it, first level is conversation with somebody who understands it.
True. Who
can break it down for you, draw it up for you, give you a sense, give you examples, right?
Yes.
You could at least at a high level understand it pretty quickly if you're saying, okay, this is the space we're going into. And if you're trying to innovate in that space, that's where you will have to iterate and kind of figure out some nuances.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm not sure. For me, my whole thing is first understand what is happening here before you even try and come and say, let's do some digital stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
It is true.
Right.
I'll give you two scenarios.
Okay.
I'll give you this. First of all, is what I mentioned, the 10,000 hour rule, before you become actually good at something. And the second thing is, if you look at some of the most successful entrepreneurs, they had an experience in what they're trying to come to build their businesses on before they actually did it.
Let's actually challenge that. Right?
If you challenge that.
If you look at, and you're not wrong. You're actually right in a lot of cases. And sometimes those are the best kind of situations because those people have that 10,000 hours behind them. They can have insight. But at the same time,
there's all this other, the the Facebooks and the whatnot
There's
businesses.
Elon Musk, for example, Tesla. There is Travis Kalanick with Uber. There is what I have learned from being in the Bay Area and observing those people. Yes, there are those people who were deep in that space, and then they built something because they could see the opportunity,
Yes.
and they could understand it better than you and me, who are
From just looking at it from a
definitely,
perspective.
no question about that.
Yes.
But one of the things that you realize is also people choose an industry. These entrepreneurs, some of them, there's this whole thing about like, which is the great company not being built? Let's go there, let's fit there. Because they love entrepreneurship, not because, and then they dive deep into the situation. So for example, I mentioned Travis Kalanick. Right now, they are building this thing called Virtual Kitchen, which basically is aggregating restaurants in kind of like a centralized kitchen
Yeah.
in urban areas, so they can increase the delivery of food.
Okay, that's
Right?
interesting.
So how did they come across this insight? When they launched Uber Eats, they were realizing Uber Eats was taking off like crazy, and they're like, okay, people are ordering more food in. Okay, what are the issues with that? Last mile, So he's raised $400 million from the Saudi family to build the next transformational company. It's called Virtual Kitchen.
Okay.
He was not a restaurant person.
But he's not really doing restaurant business, is he? That's not really restaurant business.
You have to actually build the kitchens. You actually have to.
So that's just, I think the delivery side is what he's very good at.
Actually, what they're really doing? They're aggregating kitchens. They're aggregating production of food in a kitchen setting. That's their
That's core business.
That's the core
And
business.
then also taking it now to last mile delivery.
So basically, the way it works is, I don't know why we're talking about his business, but it's basically malls in the US are kind of falling out of fashion. They're remaining unoccupied because Amazon is taking everybody's business, right? So malls are dying in the States. And so what's happening is malls are very centrally located in urban areas. So what's going to occupy that space? Oh shit, we can actually create this we can take this real estate and turn it into virtual kitchens because now we're already at the last mile and we just plug into the delivery network that's already there. A la Uber Eats, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they've gone into the manufacturing of industrial style kitchens so the restaurants can plug into them on a plug and play model and expand their delivery and their distribution. So I don't have to invest in another restaurant. I can just
Plug
space
into
into yours. But the point being, they have to figure this out.
Yes.
And
at some point, it's all about, to your point, if you have real interest in it, then you really learn about it.
You learn it. That's
if
it.
you have real interest in it, you really learn about it. But I think experience has shown that it helps if you have background.
It does help for sure.
It helps if you have background in it, because then
But it's
that
not necessary. It's not necessary. It helps
a lot. In my experience, it helps a lot.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So you and your friend went through this thing. We still kind of didn't hit the crux of the matter, which is
because
why did you guys not?
Because you're focusing more on the financing aspect of things as opposed to learning the deep knowledge of.
So you stayed in your comfort zone.
We stayed in our comfort zone instead of learning about the deeper aspects of production.
Farmers' experience. That's how you are saying a local entrepreneur. You gotta understand how they think, what their motivations are.
What is the motivation for him to do this? Why is he accepting money for scale? And how does he even do?
What does even scale mean to them? Because it means it's not just scaling for scaling's sake, isn't it?
What is his production process? Is that the most efficient production process? So you have to understand those nuances.
So if you had to do all over again, Jason,
that's what I'll do.
Right?
That's exactly what I'll do.
So you see now you have experience now.
No, I have experience.
You're probably a much better entrepreneur than than you are.
At least in that agribusiness space.
I think you have developed. You're underestimating what you have developed. You have appreciated the importance of diving deep into the context in which you're operating,
yes,
and not staying at your comfort zone.
And it's very important for entrepreneurs also. If you're trying, even if it's this, you can't slap technology on anything and then it works.
Right.
So what is the underlying industry? What are the intricacies and the processes of what you're trying to automate? You have to understand those ones before you can come up with a technology that is trying to add value into it.
Right, and that's probably what has made you a much better evaluator of investment opportunities, businesses, startups, entrepreneurs.
And it doesn't have to be platform businesses. Even if you're coming up with a QSR, how have you understood?
And what's a QSR?
quick service restaurant.
Okay.
Yes. So even if you're trying to innovate in that space,
Mm.
also try to understand what are the nuances of businesses in that. Speak to people who have been in that space,
Exactly.
and then try to see how you can innovate and come up with efficient ways in which you can push your businesses through. So industry knowledge is very important, so that you don't have to start from scratch. I think experience is important so that you don't start from scratch. At the very least, you have some basic knowledge about the industry, and then even if you're trying to, even if you iterate your solution and product offering, then at the very least it has some bit of basis and background to it.
So let me ask you this. So now let's. When you guys went through that process, okay, walk me through what happened. 4 years. So we have a chronology
4 years.
to your
So
career path.
so 4 years. The first year we tried to fund farmers for expansion, so that you realize, okay, fine. Also, those farmers, they don't have, and it ties to they didn't have deep knowledge of exactly the value chains,
The inputs and outputs of their business.
inputs and outputs of their business. They didn't have deep knowledge of it. So even if you scale them 5 times, then you're scaling inefficiencies.
You don't know what you're
You
scaling.
don't know what you're scaling. So just scale inefficiencies, and that burned us. So we tried, after that, we tried to see how can we own the process. So now you start leasing out farms, so that at least now you can start doing the primary production, because already you have the market linkages. How do you innovate yourself in that space?
So you're trying
So
to become
now
farmers.
you try to become farmers, but then you realize I don't have the time to learn the whole farming methodology and whatnot. So we brought in farm management. But then also once you bring in farm management, you realize these guys don't have skin in the game. The capital risk to them is zero.
So the employees, so production doesn't
production
matter.
really doesn't matter. If they achieve the targets, they don't achieve the targets, they move to
They still be paid.
the next to the next person. So then I realized, look, if we can't grow the skill set, and if we can't
Create
onboard-
alignment
with
with the people actually
the
doing
people.
the work.
Yes, with the people actually doing the work.
So this is very important.
Yeah,
So you guys were almost like investors,
yeah.
right?
We're investors in that space.
You are not.
We're not
entrepreneurs.
entrepreneurs. We were investors in that space.
Got it. It's a very important distinction, right?
Sorry, yeah, it's a very important distinction. Understand what you are.
Mm.
And actually, it took us the rest 3 years after that to realize actually we're not entrepreneurs. We are trying to do investments in this thing. So once we realized that, that's unfortunately it was at the tail end of the business.
Yeah.
So we said, okay, fine. Now, you come back again to the nuance of a Kenyan entrepreneur.
Right.
Even though you're an investor, you also have to fulfill some obligations financially.
And where were the sources of funding coming from? Were you using out of pocket, friends and friends?
Friends and family.
So you created an investment opportunity for people to.
for people to invest in.
Okay.
And that didn't pan out as we had hoped.
Right.
We took a lot of lessons from that.
Right.
Fortunately, we are still friends with most of them. Some not so friendly,
Yeah.
but we appreciate, at the very least, my partner and I, we appreciated the lessons that we learned from there,
Yeah.
and I can't take them for granted.
What are some of the main lessons, key takeaways that you, right off the bat, that you could sum up for people here?
Sum up for people, alignment is very important.
And alignment meaning?
Alignment, I mean alignment between the resource of the companies and also the partners of the company. And experience and knowledge.
Knowing what you're getting into.
Knowing what you're getting
and
into.
how you're going to
How you're going to play it out, and also coming up with, ways in which you can track performance, or at the very least, have a way in which you can gauge the commitment levels of people, of you are working with your team, and the people that you're working with, and the entrepreneurs that you're funding as well. Trying to come up with those alignments. And trying more
And alignment would look like what? In particular?
Alignment will look like, okay, fine. If we say we are doing, we are giving you money for this, don't redirect it for something else.
Don't be like anymore, yeah?
Don't redirect it, or don't try to take advantage of it, or just create alignment.
Why does that happen?
To my knowledge, I don't know.
But I think you kind of hit on it earlier, right? The African entrepreneur comes with a lot of needs and...
Or it could just be that the fact that they found this is easy money.
Interesting.
This is easy money, I don't have to...
Like somebody's actually giving me money.
Someone is actually giving me money, and I don't have to give them a title lead. What are
we doing? What is this?
What is this? finally now I can catch up with my friends from a social perspective.
Wow.
That really can mess you up.
Yeah, totally.
So that kind of alignment is what we really need.
Got it. People understand.
People understand. Measuring commitment is very important, and alignment is very important.
Yeah.
At the very get-go, you have to see those. And I think.
How would you measure commitment? Not to cut you off. Sorry.
Wow.
Today, how would you evaluate it?
How do you value commitment?
How do you evaluate it? How do you assess for it?
One way of assessing it is just finding out how much of what is their pound of flesh in this.
What's the skin in the game?
What is
how
the
much
skin in the
time,
game?
effort have they put into this?
Not even cash-wise.
In cash, because time is money.
Yeah, time is money, but also you can put in time. But also, if I'm risking my money, if I'm risking my capital to see if your product has value commercially,
you should also have some.
You should as well have
put money into that thing. Yeah. And that's where for me I come and say if you have 2 or 3 sidelines and you're still wanting to keep those things going, if they take your time, if they're just a rental property or a business trade thing that doesn't take your time, that's great. That's fine.
That's okay.
Yeah,
it's a cash flow.
That's a cash flow.
Maybe it's fulfilling a personal side.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
And then focus on your business.
Yeah.
But before you establish that product market fit with some entrepreneurs, maybe it would be good to see what else they're up to, and then see where they actually have a strong sense of direction and things, capabilities, where the passion is, and
capabilities are.
But all investors want to come in at the point of focus,
right?
But you would find all entrepreneurs at the point of focus. So
big disconnect.
So what do you do?
What do you do? So let me ask you. So tell us about ViKtoria Ventures. Now I think we're kind of circling this thing. Yeah. So what is ViKtoria Ventures? And what do you?
So ViKtoria Ventures initially it has a very long background in the entrepreneurial space. So what the founders of ViKtoria Ventures were doing initially was to try to see how they can create capacity.
And who are the founders?
It's Stephen Gugu and Yaron Cohen.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know them both. Yeah.
You know them both? Yeah.
Good guys.
So they very good guys, very experienced, and very intuitive. They were trying to see how can we enhance the quality or facilitate or help our entrepreneurs get a lot of funding. I'm sure you're familiar with the whole notion of local founders cannot access capital that easily. Very much about that. So I'm not sure if it's a notion of
it's a fact.
It's a fact. there are articles written on it as well.
And for various reasons.
Right. Which we don't need to get into. So because of that, they said, how do we help our local entrepreneurs access local funding? So maybe capacity building could have been significant at that point. But then even after doing a lot of that, you still realize there was still a missing.
It wasn't getting the results.
It was not getting the results they wanted.
And what is capacity building for just our audience to understand what that meant? What does that actually mean?
Investor readiness. How do you talk to investors? What are investors interested in?
And these are local investors.
Yes. How do you position yourself from an investor perspective? How do you position yourself significantly? How do you create efficiencies in your team for you to attract capital?
So let's talk a little bit about that. There is local money, obviously. There's a lot of money locally.
I think so.
Is there an appetite to invest in early stage idea startups projects from local sources? Is there an appetite for that? Because I think that's what they were trying to
That's what they were trying to solve.
Yeah.
But also you have to understand the way local capital works is that people are more familiar with traditional asset classes. Right. Your property here, your rental there. Or even if you're investing in someone, it's very relational.
Right.
It's the nephew of your wife. It's the cousin of your whatever.
Family,
it's family, more relational based.
Relationships, yeah.
So it's not really formalized in the sense that you're evaluating an opportunity on its merits.
Yeah.
It's not really formalized like that. So local capital is very conservative.
Skittish, yeah. So I guess the answer to that is what? Is there an appetite though? Like, if you created the right situation, would local capital come in? Because you guys are doing that right now.
Yes.
Where you, if you're on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being this is kind of like oversubscribed, Where are we in that evolution?
I would say 50 because there's also a lot of capacity building that needs to happen on the angel side as well. They need to understand how they create a portfolio of investments. And you need to understand what is the proportion of my net worth that I should dedicate for private equity and private investments. They should understand how do I build a portfolio of companies, of investments that can give me the returns that I want. So there's a lot of capacity building that needs to happen, even on the investor side, not just on the entrepreneur side.
So let me ask you a question. And I know you guys have been doing a lot of that, right?
Yeah.
Kind of building networks of angel investors.
And also capacity building them so that for them
teaching them
to be cognizant of what this asset class entails actually. Yeah.
What is kind of portfolio construction, that type
yeah,
of
what and more importantly,
timelines.
Once I invest, what is
my role
in it?
Okay.
Or how do I create value? Because as an angel investor, you have to create your return.
Right.
So it cannot be a hands-free or passive or investment kind of asset class. No, it's not. You have to be hands-on. And by hands-on, I don't mean day-to-day. By hands-on, I mean
helpful.
You have to be there. As one of the founders of ViKtoria says, you have to be the co-driver. The guy.
But okay, so this can scare some entrepreneurs because the reason people go into entrepreneurship is because they don't want to be managed, right? They want to actually have the freedom to actually express themselves in the world and make decisions. You have to balance that with support.
Exactly.
Right? Helpful support. Now, this is not a unique thing to our market. This is the tension between investors and entrepreneurs globally everywhere, right?
Yes.
And it's a question of how do you construct the right synergy and support infrastructure so it's not micromanaging and it's not wild west entrepreneurs out here doing their own thing and you are out there and there's no communication.
And there's no communication.
So it's that.
Yes. So the value addition aspect of it is just, I think, the way we try to do it, ViKtoria Ventures, is by identifying how will we create value and also communicating that to the entrepreneur.
Right.
So that you can upfront, so that you can know. By the time you're coming in, we are going to be involved in a bit of the decision making process, but not from a day-to-day perspective, but a very
strategic.
Yes, from a strategic perspective, whereby we're saying we sit on the board and try to see how we can drive value on that side. And also importantly, now that since all of us are interested in the success of the business, we'll also try to see how we can, do a lot of business opportunity assessment so that we can create value for them as well. So it just doesn't become we give you capital and then you go ahead and figure it out. No, we also try to figure it out with you as we move along. And I think entrepreneurs should be
very welcoming to that.
Very welcoming to that because
if they know anything about what they're doing.
Exactly.
Seriously, like if I'm an entrepreneur coming to help me, right? Yeah. I mean, if it makes sense, right?
But I think that's a very it was an old way of thinking. I think now entrepreneurs are more cognizant of the fact that they'll start needing capital very early on. And by needing capital, and since you cannot access it from the financial institutions and things like that, you have to access it from external investors. So they are more receptive to the whole idea of people coming in and driving the business with you than before. Got
it. So the mindset has shifted.
The mindset has shifted. It's shifting.
Got it.
And also I think investors are realizing that by making an investment in a company, I don't need necessarily to have controlling stake.
Yeah. So how many investments have you guys made so far?
We have made 3 investments so far.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's good. Local capital.
But one of them is a co-investment with a foreign angel network.
That's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine. You're making it happen, right?
Yeah.
You're pulling it together. So you guys have seen some outcome from all the work you've been putting in.
Yes. If the deals speak for anything, they speak to that outcome.
Yeah.
That actually some people can place bets in local entrepreneurs.
Right.
They're willing to place bets, and more importantly, they're also willing to contribute to the success of the entrepreneur.
It's very exciting. So where do you think we are going? What does the future look like? Vision 2030, if you have to kind of project that. down based on what you're seeing? Because you're out here talking to entrepreneurs, talking to investors, local capital. You have your finger on the pulse, I think, right? In terms of the zeitgeist, what people are thinking, how they're feeling, the motion, the direction of things. Where do you think things are? What does the future look like?
Yeah.
In your view?
In my view, the future is actually it's very optimistic, because now we are getting more and more people who, even without us looking for them, they come and say, look, how to plug into private capital. By the fact that we're reading a lot of, and this has come because of the fact that there's a lot of news of companies getting investments, the likes of Cellular and Trigger. If those kind of news are out there, people making investments in companies.
They're like, hey, this actually
like,
works.
okay, so this actually works. This asset class is actually out there.
So from an investor standpoint,
standpoint, they're coming, and then because
they're knocking on your door and saying, I want to
participate, I want to see, I'm interested in this, how do I learn more about this, and things like that, because of the fact that they're seeing the likes of Trigger getting private equity investments and venture capitals, and people are exiting. So because of that, since they cannot plug in at that level, they want to say, okay, where can I start at my level? And we're seeing a lot of that happening. And more as the income levels keep on increasing, then
that one is possible.
Yes, that one is also possible, and the sophistication of people with capital to deploy is also becoming more.
It's increasing.
So because of that, we're seeing an interest being developed into the private equity space, and also the fact that I think the traditional asset classes are also plateauing from a return perspective.
The real estate of the world.
The real estate, the stock market, and things like that. So we'll see a lot of interest in this other side of things.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool. So that is growing. There's interest from investors. Obviously, entrepreneurs always are interested in money. Are you seeing an evolution in the quality of entrepreneurs? I think you mentioned that already. Are you seeing people who are now kind of ready to approach the building of a company in the right way, or pursuing a startup in the right way, with the right alignment, thinking, responsibility, structures? Are you seeing that?
They are, but they're very hard to find. Yes, the quality of entrepreneurs is increasing, obviously, because of it. We have more and more people trying to venture out into entrepreneurship themselves at an early age as opposed to a later age. And these people come with a lot of experience from their industries. And then the fact that it's now easy to drive or to come up with solutions that can get backing. We have seen the quality of entrepreneurs also increasing.
That's awesome. Yeah, listen, I'm really happy about what you guys have done. I'm really thankful for the founders who actually had the vision to actually say, hey, we need to actually start to cultivate the knowledge, and it's clearly a journey, and you guys are making strides. So how did you get involved? How did you get involved with your ventures?
It was a friend of mine told me that Stephen was looking for someone to manage the network. I said, yeah, this is something that I'll be interested in.
Right.
So we had a chat with Stephen, and then the rest is history.
Cool. And how long have you been doing this with them?
I've been doing this for 1.5 years now.
1.5 years.
Yeah.
And you're also involved in the broader kind of African angel network or investment network.
Yes, we are.
I know you were just at an event in South Africa.
Yes.
Right. What was that about, and what was your experiences with that?
So ViKtoria Business Angel is part of the ABAN, which is the African Business Angel Network.
Okay.
It's the association of angel networks, angel networks, and angel investors across Africa. So every year there is an Africa Early Investment Summit happening in South Africa, Cape Town, which is a joint collaboration between ABAN and VC4A, Venture Capital for Africa. And what they're trying to do is trying to drive the whole idea that how do we get more syndicated rounds by angel investors and people that are interested in the early stage space. So it's more of a meeting of early stage investors and how collaboration can happen among them, and how they see that space growing. What are the key things that they need to be focusing on even from a support perspective? These supportive organizations, what should they focus on more from an investor's interest point of view?
Got it.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, listen. Let me see. One final question maybe I have for you here is, and I think I've asked it, but you answered in a kind of roundabout way. So if you're to put like a vision of 2030, what is Nairobi? What will come out of Nairobi in terms of outcomes? What does that look like for you? What do you have any kind of like more concrete way you can articulate that, or have you not thought about that hard enough?
Well, I haven't looked that far into the future.
As an investor, come on, man.
I hope
it's only 10 years away, man.
It's only 10 years away. If from what I've seen, if I can say, I think there will be more angel investors. Because, I mean, one thing that we're noticing is the fact that there's a big gap between companies transitioning into the VCP space because there's not a lot of support at the early stage space.
So the pipeline is...
So how do we widen that? That is by bringing in a lot more capital into it. So am I seeing a unicorn in Africa or Kenya in the next 10 years? It's debatable.
I don't know if unicorns are not necessary. I think just good healthy, many good healthy businesses.
Many good
healthy kind of like network of experienced operators and entrepreneurs and angels. To me, that is what is exciting. A unicorn, cool, but if we had 10, 12, 15 solid businesses, like take Cellulant multiply by 10 in Nairobi. Would that be exciting?
That is exciting. That is exciting. So, if from that perspective, then I would say, actually, for me, what is more exciting is to see angel investors exiting more.
Which has to be part. Which means, by definition, you have to have things that
are scalable.
Yeah.
Businesses that have a very good offtake from the VC or secondary market or strategic buyouts.
Right.
That would be interesting for me to see more angel investors
liquidating their positions. And is your approach say, okay, you come in at an angel level, and when VC money comes in, you can actually liquidate?
No,
you can stay.
You can stay.
So you have optionality.
You have the options.
Okay.
But obviously,
you construct your deals in that way, and you set expectations that way for your angel network and for your VCs also partners.
For our VC partners, it's more of the offtake side of things.
Okay.
So if they
but they're comfortable with angels getting off the cap table.
Getting off the cap table.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at that point, the business is more strategic.
It's more clean.
It's more clean.
Yeah.
It has been better. It's better structured.
Right.
And now it's just poised for growth.
Got it.
So they are more comfortable at that point. Actually, if you have angel investors on board earlier on, it's more attractive to a VC.
Right.
Yeah.
And they can come in and liquidate those people.
They can come and liquidate you out, or if you want to stay on board, you can stay on board. But you will get very heavily diluted, so you don't really to stay.
Depending on the situation, maybe you can. It's all deal by deal, right? But I love the fact that you guys have this structure where you're thinking about it that way.
Yeah.
Our angels need shorter time horizons to get comfortable, right?
Yes.
They're not going to write 10 years. If you can give them 3, 4, 5, 3 years. What are the time horizons you guys?
5 years.
5 years.
5 years.
To
5 years.
And your the exit situation is a VC money coming in, a Series A, or what? What's your exit? What's your
exit routes are multiple.
Okay. Give me a couple of the way you guys think about it. Like, how do you guys think while your exit routes?
VC secondary buyers are will be more frequent because then a VC will be coming in and plugging in them most of them.
So Series A basically.
Series A, or it could be early. It depends on who's coming in. But also we try to see if we can get some strategic buyouts. A company coming in and then plugging taking them off. And then they augment that as part of the product offering or whatever it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So those are the two that you see. What about shared revenue models?
Revenue share models. They
too early?
They do exist.
Do you guys see them in your portfolio?
Yes. We do. Okay. It's another avenue of self-liquidating instrument.
Okay.
Whereby you say, okay, fine, we can share the top line revenue for the next 3, 4, 5 years as we exit at a multiple.
Okay.
So, and actually, I think it's one of those, we should be innovative in the way we structure investments, because you can either structure them as convertible notes or the revenue-based structures and things. Because if it's more appealing to an entrepreneur who doesn't want to give a bit of stake in their company, but the company has cash flows to support paybacks to investors, why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Awesome. This is great. Thanks so much for coming to the podcast.
So, asanteni sana.
Is there anything else you wanted to add so people should know about, how they can reach you or anything?
Yeah. If you're out there and you're an entrepreneur, we very much appreciate having conversations with you of where we can help and see how we can work together.
Cool. How can they reach you? You have email?
Yes. Should I leave it with you?
Just say it. Tell them what it is.
It's jason@viktoria.co.ke.
Awesome.
Viktoria with a K.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Jason.
Thank you, Jason.